Hey, welcome to a very sunny edition of Avid Golfer Magazine's Drive Time feature. This go around we look at the brand new 2020 Cadillac CT5, and it's courtesy of Crest Cadillac up in Frisco. We want to thank them for the opportunity to taste test this beautiful ride. So what Cadillac did is they went ahead and consolidated two models, the ATS and the CTS, and that morphed into the CT5. It's longer, they're actually shorter than the CT5, but also wider. So it gives you much more room on the inside, comfortably handle 4 to 5 adults. The only thing it might hurt a little bit is the trunk space. Let's take a closer look. Let's do the forensics on this and see how it handles and see how it works out with this 4-cylinder CT5. All right, so this is the Sport Edition. This carries some extra sports fascia is what they call it. So they have a totally blacked out grille here, top and bottom, an extra piece here for a spoiler, and then the blacked out accents here as well. This is their signature. This is their, you could call them a hockey stick or whatever, but I really like this look in the Cadillac line. They're thin, but they're powerful, kind of sinister looking. I really like that. All right, as stated, this is the Sport Edition. This is my favorite look, typically in a car. It's a little more aggressive. This has the shadow metallic paint. I think this is absolutely gorgeous. It's almost black, but not quite. It shines up well, reflects well. I think it's a really cool color, and Cadillac does a great job at that. These are 19-inch rims. These are upgraded. Normally they have 18s. I think it fills up the wheel wells just a little bit better. High-performance tires. And as we start going back to the rear of the car, I love the lines on this. Very sleek, and I would say kind of simple too, because there's not a lot of extraneous stuff on the sides or badging or whoop-de-doos or whatever. It just looks nice and classy, and I always like that. The roof, again, very sloped, has a double pane panoramic roof on top. If you'd like that, that's an option, but that's okay. And as we go towards the rear, it sweeps back into, and you also include this subtle spoiler in the rear. Again, I think it sets it off perfectly. The rear kind of sets up the entire car, or actually adds to the package. What you'll notice in this Sport Edition, hardly any chrome anywhere, which is really kind of cool. Maybe here, very few accents. I like the darked out image of everything. I'm also a bigger fan of the alloy wheels versus the blacked out wheels, just personal preference to me. I like a little contrast. As you can see here, again, the subtle lip of the spoiler, and it has dual exhaust. And then when you open it up, as I mentioned earlier, the depth is a little bit compromised because they wanted more room for the passengers. The beauty of it is the rear seats do go down if you need extra storage room, and you can get a full bag in here with driver, and you can put them in horizontally, and it does fit. So for a golfer, that's what you need to know. That's good stuff. All right, let's take a look at the interior. We'll start off in the rear because the legroom here is pretty darn good. I'm about 5'10", so even with the driver's seat in normal position, I can move my legs. They fit comfortably, the feet fit comfortably underneath the seat. Pretty decent headroom, especially with a sunroof like this, and very comfortable, and they can heat if you want, and they also fold down for extra storage in the back. You could sit back here for hours and not feel confined or stiff or anything else. So they did a really good job expanding the interior of the car. Yeah, it might take a little bit of room from the trunk. I'll take this part any day. All right, you have a armrest right here, 2 cup holders, no storage, but enough where a couple people can have some beverages back here, be perfectly fine. Done. Throw it back up, and you've got more room. I think, let me see here, you can actually fit, this isn't horrible. So normally when you sit on the middle part of the back seat, it can be a little rough. It's not great, but it's doable. But the 2 people sitting on either side on these seats, will be in good shape for a long, long drive. So this is a double pane sunroof. They call it an Ultra View. You can close these and you can keep them open. I think it's a really good look, especially when you have a dark colored interior like this. Brightens up just brightens it up a little bit so you can actually find stuff, especially if you have black whatevers, items. And I think it's nicely laid out. It feels good. It looks good. The double stitching, contrast double stitching looks great. Get the Bose speakers. This is the upgraded version. You have 15 speakers, and it's more than enough power to blow out any audio file. So this is good stuff. They did a good job here, Cadillac did. Okay, so I said the exterior looks awesome. I mean, I love that color. I love the lines. I love the fact that most of it is blacked out. There isn't a lot of extraneous chrome. And so now let's look at the interior and see how that measures up. Again, Cadillac does a fine job of making you feel like you're amidst luxury. The steering wheel feels great. All the visuals are good. The instrumentation, nice big screen here that's also touch screen, but just enough buttons to use the ones that you use regularly without having to hit an info screen. The seats in the Sport model are heated and cooled, and I got the cooled on right now, and it works. Keeps my back nice and, well, untoasty. How about that? The other thing they did, which I like about the Sport models, they start putting in all this carbon fiber trim. I think it's a great look. And they have it all over the interior. They have the double stitching like I was telling you about, the contrasting double stitching. That's really good. Most of the features that you need are right here on the steering wheel. You can flip through different menus, formats, whatever you'd like. It also has an optional head-up display. I always recommend getting that. Once you get it, you can't live without it. And it also keeps your eyes on the road. This one doesn't have it, this particular model, but I would opt for it when you start looking at the different optional packages. One other thing I like about this, it has a wireless charger for my phone. So if I take this away and put it in there, and now I hit this, it should light up. It does. See, it says 90% charge. I don't like a lot of cords, so this is a nice way of keeping this simplified. Even though it does have USB ports in the back, in the front, you also have different modes here for your driving. If you can see here, I can put it in sport, I can put it in snow and ice, I can put it in tour mode. My mode is where you can individually change things. But the sport mode is the one I like. Again, with the 4-cylinder, adds a little more torque, a little more RPM, takes longer to change gears. I really like that. But you can hear the engine work at it a little bit. The 4-cylinders have really come a long way. But if you're one of those types, again, 237 horsepower. If you want to wait till the 6-cylinder comes out later in the year, that'll have 335 horsepower. So it just depends on what you want. The gas mileage on this is 26 and 32, and I'm getting about that as I drive around town. If I hit this home screen right here, this brings up all the different settings I can come up with. I can do Apple CarPlay. That has to be wired though. Also has Android Auto if you don't have an iPhone, and I think they did a great job on this. For the money, starting off at $41,000, that's pretty good. Glove compartment, it's pretty roomy. I don't put a lot of stuff in the glove compartment, but it's nice that it's there. The storage, you can see I have a bunch of stuff in there, and it has more than enough for there. It has a USB port, and the seats. Okay, let's talk about the seats real quick. These are the Sport models. These are 18-way sport seats. Not only do they have lumbar support, I can change the settings for the side bolstering. So if I want to, I can squeeze those in a little bit. So if I'm doing a little bit of rallying, it's kind of nice that it kind of keeps you nice and locked in. And it's a sport seat, but it's also really comfortable. So if you have to take this thing on a long drive, you're not going to need a chiropractor when you're done. Other than that, nothing really outlandish. Almost all these car manufacturers are kind of mirroring each other, so you don't see very many out-of-the-box thinking. If somebody has it for a year, everybody else will copy it after that. So it just depends on how they assimilate that into their models. But all in all, The heater, the air conditioning work very quickly. Again, you can close these if you want. So I can close these to let out the sun and the front and the back. So if you want to darken things up a little bit, that's not bad either. And then that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it on this. Again, you have the sport modes. You have auto hold in the front here. And that's if I want to, if I get to a stoplight or something, I don't have to hold on to the brake. I can let that go. It'll stop on its own. You can turn off auto stop. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I'm kind of like in the middle. I'm kind of neutral. I usually turn it off when I get in the car. And it has a great sync up to the phone, really clear Bluetooth. And as I said, the Bose speaker system is more than enough for just about anybody but a ridiculous audiophile. So again, it's an all-around great car, especially for the money. The only thing you have to figure out is if you want the 4-cylinder, or do you want to wait a little bit for the 6-cylinder variety. All right, so we looked at the exterior and the interior of the CT5. Let's see how the drive meshes with those two, with that combo. And that combo, again, very impressed, especially for the price starting off at $41,000. This is the sport model. Twin turbo, 4-cylinder, 237 horses, 258 pound-feet of torque. If you want to wait for the V6, that will come out later this year. And that'll be 335 horsepower, which is a significant boost. But you'll also lose a little bit of gas mileage, so take your pick. Let's see how it turns. Turns well. You can hear the 4-cylinder work a little bit, but again, has some nice thrust to it once you punch it. The visibility, really good for this car. There's enough window acreage in here that I really don't have a blind spot. The side view mirrors are good. Everything I can see, my grasp. Again, if you had a chance, I'd probably get the head-up display. It's something I'm used to, and I probably wouldn't do without it again. But you have a digital speedometer right here, and I can see that very clearly, and so I'm all good. Okay, steering. The wheel is also heated. Another nice thing I love with as far as options go. In the wintertime, if this car's outside, it takes forever to heat up the steering wheel. I don't care how much you're blasting the heat inside the cabin. So this has that, and it toasts up your hands really nicely. You don't have to wear any gloves or anything like that. What I love about the screen here as you're driving, I can not only look at the channels on, let's say, Sirius, I can look and see what song they're playing too, so I don't have to scroll and do all that. So that's pretty cool. The exterior, as far as the visibility, excellent. There's enough window space here. Even though it's sleek, you don't really have any crazy blind spots or some kind of thin rear view mirror, or the side view mirrors don't show much. I feel very confident, especially with the blind spot warnings and all that, that you can drive this with a lot of confidence that you're not going to be getting any crazy incidents or circumstances. Let's say that. As I sit here, again, the seat's very comfortable. I can move out my my thigh bolstering. So some people that have longer legs want to feel that more underneath their thighs. You can move that out if you'd like. I like that feature. Again, as you turn, got a lot of thrust. So you can hear that, right? But it feels pretty good. It's not grabby or catchy or lurchy. Nice and smooth. I know I say the word nice during this video, but there's a lot of things you'll appreciate about this car, especially for the price. I think if you maxed out this car, you'd be in the early mid 50 range, I'd say, but that's counting pretty much everything. That's counting a premium package, which covers it all. And it's a great daily driver. It's comfortable. It gets decent gas mileage, 26 and 32. The seats are comfortable. They're heated and cooled. If you go on a long trip, it won't beat you up. When you walk up to the car, it looks great. When you walk up to the car and it's at night and you have your keys on you, it will welcome you with a whole bunch of lights all the way around. It's kind of like, hi, Rick. Glad to see you again. So I kind of like that. That's a nice little benefit. Gotta quit saying nice all the time. I gotta come up with I need a synonym. Let's see, other than that, I can't really add much to it. You can get auto beams if you present that. I don't know if I find that a great feature. It's mostly for the lazy. It's not that hard to turn on your brights and turn them off, but some people just want to have everything done for them. And if you're that type, more power to you. As I mentioned earlier, most of the major buttons that you're going to use are accessible. You don't have to go through a bunch of menu changes, which can get frustrating when you're driving a car. You have to take your eyes off the road to check out everything. This one's right here. You kind of know where most of it is as far as the fans go. Heated and cooling on the seats. You can sync up both sides. It's a two-way climate control, so the passenger can feel the same thing you do. And they also have the cooled seats as well. The more I drive this, the more I feel at one with it. I think they did a really good job of assimilating, well, first they eliminated the ATS and the CTS, and what they put in its place is a really good morphing, a great hybrid, I think, of what you liked in both those cars. The interior is nice and roomy due to the extra width. They took out just a smidge of the trunk so the rear seat passengers don't feel cramped. It soaks up these bumps very well. I'm duly impressed, especially with these performance tires, these run flats. So all in all, big thumbs up. I would thoroughly recommend you test drive this when you're looking for entry-level luxury model. Again, courtesy of Crest Cars in Frisco, Texas, that you get all this, the service done. You get loaner cars, all that. It works out in a very satisfactory and pleasing way, so that you're getting pretty much everything you want without having to pay through the nose for something. And again, this exterior, this shadow metallic, may be one of my favorite colors. So when you're looking at that, make sure you look at one of these cars with that. I think you'll be duly impressed as well. And there you go, the 2020 CT5. Strongly recommend you give it a shot if you're looking for a four-door sedan. It's got some pep, it's got some looks, it's got some performance, it's got some luxury that surrounds you. Definitely put it on your short list if you're looking for a car in that category. So there you go. It's the 2020 CT5 taking the place of the ATS and the CTS. This is courtesy of Crest Cadillac up in Frisco. I want to thank them again for the opportunity. Now this car bases at about $41,000. By the time you add some things, this is the Sport Edition, so you get the 19-inch rims and you get some sport fascia in the front and all that. This one prices out at $47,000. In this category, that's a really good bargain. So I would definitely check this out. It's got 237 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. It's a 4-cylinder, twin turbo. It'll get you to point A to point B in a pretty fast order. Later, they'll come out with the 6-cylinder. So if you want to wait, it'll be out later in the 2020 year.